Hello once again. This is Linkara.
And Iron Liz.
And this is a very similar situation. We're on the same couch we filmed this in. I wanted a quiet moment in the upcoming battle. This was going to be huge. This was going to be the fate of the world kind of thing. And we just need that quiet moment of realization that, our lives are kind of weird.
That's funny too. I'm just looking at this again, and yeah, you can kind of tell that my hair was still kind of drying. Basically, with my curl like that, I just get out of the shower, towel it off, brush it out, and just let it air dry, and then those are the curls that come out of it. So
I think your hair looks pretty.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, with the lights there too, it's kind of getting puffy.
This is why we don't film a lot on the couch. It's not very conducive to filming things. We get lights in the shot or stuff like that. And this is not exactly clear what's happening, but I'm actually raising up the coffee table and finding a comic inside of it. In this case, the Doctor Who Classics #7 review.
With Wrath of Khan on the back.
Yes, because the Wrath of Khan comic did not come out until like 20 years after the movie came out. Go figure. But yeah, I was just trying to be quiet, trying to be like a somber. We need just contemplate for a moment before we go into this battle we will probably die in. Sure, I have a plan, but there's no guarantee it'll work. Now, originally, this was going to be another Power Rangers fight. I was going to do Power Rangers Turbo versus Beetleborgs Metallics. But the reason why I didn't go with it was I realized, I did the Power Rangers. Even if I had done the Power Rangers Zeo review as a Christmas episode, it's just too soon after the last Power Rangers-esque fight. I should be doing something else that I really love. So in this case, it was Doctor Who. And I am a huge Doctor Who fan. I have been since I was a little kid. My parents had tapes of the 7th Doctor. And Marobot, like last year, did a dual title card, because the other review, and this was another Youngblood one, we just kind of flip it around, so I'm on either side.
Yeah, this fight actually took a lot of preparation work to do. I think we were doing at least 2 months in advance planning out the fight moves themselves, but also just the order of things. And we had to get a third person to do Lord Vice, because both of us were fighting.
I needed, for one thing, it would have been too complicated just to have the two of us continually changing in and out of the costume. In addition, it allowed for a lot more dynamic fighting with 3 people, which admittedly, there's only like 1 or 2 shots where there's actually 3 of us on screen at once. Mm-hmm. But it still allowed for one of us to take a rest when the other was doing it. Allowed a third person to operate as a camera person and not just be tripod all the time.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it was that, there's something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, Will is actually trained in stage fighting and has martial arts training, which allowed him to do like high kicks. Yes. And whatnot. And he actually wanted to know if he should do like more elaborate, higher level, higher energy stuff. I told him to not do it because I wanted to project this image of Lord Vice that he was so confident and so powerful that he didn't have to do anything fancy.
He's not even trying.
He's not even trying. It's basically like us attacking a brick wall. And just like a simple I don't know what the backhand, that's it. Just a simple backhand of a person will send them flying. And Doctor Who. I think a lot of people are too critical of the 8th Doctor movie. I mean, yes, it was produced by Fox. Yes, they introduced a stupid romance. And yes, they killed off Sylvester McCoy, who just gets like riddled with bullets. But it could have been a hell of a lot worse, and as a little kid, I loved it. I mean, I was clamoring for any new Doctor Who material at the time. And a lot of this intro sequence is just to stave off questions, because the one thing that I hate about in comments section is when I get the same question over and over and over and over and over. It's not any slight against my fans or anything. They're just curious and they want to know more. It's just it gets kind of dull after a while hearing the same question over and over. So I wanted to like just get it all the way. Favorite episode, favorite audio dramas. Do I listen to the audio dramas? Favorite doctors. Just get it all out there so people don't have to ask that.
No, it's funny too because you actually introduced Nella to the Doctor Who audio dramas, and she really likes Zagreus.
Zagreus sits inside your head. Zagreus lives among the dead. Zagreus sees you in your bed and eats you while you're sleeping. I was drinking some Kool-Aid there, not Kool-Aid, Gatorade. But yeah, actually, the Zagreus thing, that was the leading inspiration for the Entity poem. I love creepy poems. Build mythos and mystique around it.
It's funny, you had such problems finding a Doctor Who comic that was actually bad.
That's the problem. The Doctor Who comics are not actually all that bad in the long run. Sure, a lot of them are not very interesting, but there's a difference between just dull and bad.
Yeah, and the series has so much love, it has so much history that I think they try a little bit more, you know?
And they really try to take their care for it, and they have a lot of UK writers who were doing a lot of the work for it. And I hate to sound like I'm culturally insensitive or something like that, but let's face it, the UK writers tend to be so much better comic book writers. We had Alan Moore, we had Grant Morrison, we have a lot of writers who came out of the UK and just produced beautiful works, especially for Doctor Who stuff. Colin Baker! God, I love... And Colin gets a lot of bad rap for his run, but he had some good episodes in there, and I love the patchwork coat. I think it looks awesome.
See, the only thing I know about Colin Baker is that for some reason he cameoed in the Dungeons & Dragons movie.
No, that's Tom Baker.
Tom Baker.
Tom Baker is the one who cameoed in the Dungeons & Dragons movie for reasons that completely escape us. Since Tom Baker was the most popular Doctor up until David Tennant, and he's the person who most people associate with Doctor Who, but it's just so weird. Why? Did he owe a favor to somebody?
I don't know, because that movie is just deplorable.
It's complete.
Jeremy Irons is in that movie.
Give me all rage.
He won an Oscar. Stop slumming in these horrible movies.
Well, some actors, they just really need a paycheck.
True, but that's like if Laurence Olivier decided to do a part in Quest for the Delta Knights, you know? Like, it's just that's basically before the new series. That was my working knowledge of Doctor Who.
This Tom Baker appearing in Dungeons and Dragons for like a 2-minute cameo. He's good in it, but that's because he's a good actor.
Well, it's a pretty useless part, though.
Exactly. He's like Lord High Elf or something.
They attach this mythology on at the end that just makes no sense to the greater context of the movie. But
I get the impression the movie went through a lot of rewrites.
Yeah, it's something.
As for Doctor Who, yeah, it was really hard for me to track down a bad Doctor Who comic. I wanted to do something from the classic series, because that had a larger history behind it, and I figured older comics would probably be cheesier. And to a degree this is, but I don't know, a lot of these just aren't that bad. Eventually, I settled on this one, for 2 reasons. One, the fact that I was coming into the story at the end and it was not a very good introduction to the story at the end. This is just someone picking it up off the stands. And what if they had picked up the Doctor Who magazine that this originally featured in and hadn't picked one up previously? There's not a big explanation of what the hell is going on. And then it just ends anticlimactically. Teddy bear that survives the apocalypse. Oh, and yeah, there's planets in the sky, so that could just be orbital wobble. I actually borrowed that directly from Spoonie's video because I didn't have a copy of Islander the Source. Which, fortunately, he had the full clip there.
Yeah.
That could just be orbital wobble.
I'm sorry, it's somebody... The thing is, I think the stereotype in America is that, at least the U.S., is that people from the English Isles are more intellectual in some ways, and they can be snobby or whatever, but saying so like a silly word like wobble or boogeyman or something like that in that voice just doesn't work.
Makes the whole thing ridiculous and silly, and I don't even know what the hell this thing is that we're looking at here, this monster, and how it's summoning up zombies. This is a bad introduction into the story, and it's the end of the story. I should care about what's going on, and I'm just confused. Oh yeah, and the doctor's head gets lit on fire. Which is handily put out by his hat getting wet.
It's funny with the modern idea of the end of the world, that how there's almost always mutants or zombies or whatever. In the event of nuclear war, I'm sure it would be just, okay, we have to farm and there's a lot of radiation. It's not exactly a sexy story way to tell it, but yeah, then there's just stuff like this that just goes, or Superman at Earth's End, and this weird post-apocalyptic stuff that really just doesn't make any sense. It's like you can suspend your disbelief. And
mutants and robots and everything else that just spring up overnight.
Yeah.
But yeah. It was the silliness of this story, and the other thing that convinced me to do this one in particular was, what was the joke? The Thunderdome joke. Because damn it, I was really depressed about the fact that Spoonie had made like 3 or 4 Thunderdome jokes. Now the origin of the Thunderdome joke comes from Mystery Science Theater 3000 in the episode, and I think it was Laser Blast.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Basically, it was the opening sequence, and the robots tie up Mike and basically go into the spiel about, sometime in your life you'll hear the word Thunderdome uttered at some point. So, and here's a helpful tip on a joke to make for the Thunderdome. And repeat, come on, can't we just get beyond Thunderdome?
Oh. As a completely side note there, when I was still in college, I had friends in St. Cloud, and we'd go up to the weekend to party, and they'd play this hockey game where you could name the characters. I don't know which one it is, so don't ask, but yes, they had a 7-foot Canadian guy who weighed like 400 pounds. They named Thunderdome. So, that's always what I think of.
But yeah,
yeah, I know, it's funny.
But yeah, because of the infrequency of making a Thunderdome joke in your lifetime, the fact that Spoonie had made like 4 of them by this point, I was like, I gotta catch up!
Yeah.
I wanna make a Thunderdome joke. So that settled it and made me decide I wanted to do the Thunderdome remark.
I'm surprised the counting gag hasn't started with the Thunderdome jokes. Because Spoonie, whenever a fuse box comes up, he'll do a counter for that. Just kind of keep a running tally of the Thunderdome jokes.
What I love is when he like did his 4th or 5th one, and he just like started doing the air hump. I cannot be stopped. And he just falls into the TARDIS. How do you do that? This character who first appears here, apparently there was actually a sequel to this that happened right afterwards, and that's why it ends so weirdly. This is not like the end of the story, even though it says the end at the bottom.
And by the way, folks, sorry to intersect there. Yellow and black crisscross shirt like that makes you 100% lady-proof. That is like the ugliest shirt ever.
It is. But he's insane, so it all is okay.
Oh, yes, because that's what crazy people do.
What's weird is that the doctor doesn't recognize that he's a crazy person. He's just like, he must have special powers.
The power to resist the wiles of
the female.
Of the female persuasion.
And he starts panicking and going nuts, and yeah, there's like an invisible like energy kind of monster thing that follows him into the TARDIS and lands in Stockbridge, and that's why it's called like the Stockbridge Horror or something like that. Next, it. I like doing the wah wah wah.
Exactly. Oh my. I'm surprised no one's done a Nyan Cat type thing with the waha waha thing. Just have it loop and go on and on and on.
I think actually the clip that I got was a 1 minute repeating loop of it going over and over again.
Oh, Tim Curry.
I'm sorry for the people who saw it as a child and were extremely frightened by it, but man, I had never seen it before the NC's review, and God, that was hilarious.
I actually did see it later on, but I was a freshman in college when I saw it, and it did have some creepy moments, but yeah, it's hard to... If you translated the book into the actual movie, it would have been 6 hours long, but then again, it was a mini-series, so...
And a lot more inappropriate, too, considering some of the content.
But it's attempted to be explained away. I don't know. We won't go there.
The thing with it for me is that I just get so sick and tired of killer clowns, because I love clowns. Clowns get a bad rap, and they're always evil and manipulative, and they're just people who try to dress up in bright colors and bring joy and happiness to people. And
including fucking Chuckles.
And so instead they get marked as annoying or evil. Airplane.
Oh god.
Stop! Yeah, I can't think of many instances where the doctor slaps a guy. A crazy old...
Get a hold of yourself.
Oh, I really gotta get you onto the Tom Baker Doctor Who's, if only for the Key to Time saga.
Tom Baker, I'm sorry, he's creepy to me. He's really kind of ugly, and like, no, if you had a picture of Tom Baker, like, crawling out from under your bed and looking at you, that's seriously nightmare fuel. I don't see, like, just have him, like, smile up at you and then just say, "Hello, puppet!" Yeah. See how dry your pants would stay after that.
Teeth and curls was how they described him once.
Yeah, I can see that. He looks very English, so I guess they got that right.
Actually, they really went for a bohemian thing with him. Very, very bizarre. Making jokes. He could be serious when he needed to, but he was always very calm and laid back. He was in control of the situation, and when he got morally pissed off, you didn't want to get in his way.
Because he would gnash his soft brown teeth. Because he's English.
Oh, you're mean.
I know. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, anticlimactic ending, which again is supposed to lead into another story, but again it says the end at the bottom, and I'm just like, that was it. That was lame.
No, what they should have done was the end ? I love that. It's one of my favorite endings of any movie of anywhere.
No one's quite certain if it's the end or
the
not.
The end? It's just so lame.
Worst sequel bait ever.
They did that with The Blob, as a matter of fact. They dropped it in Antarctica, and the end ? Oh my. But the Blob is pure camp anyway, so...
It would be legitimate for like one of the remakes where like the preacher had the piece of the Blob that he had kept.
Well, the remakes are actually kind of creepy. They definitely go more for
gore.
The gore factor in it. And the Blob itself is not raspberry jelly. In the original one, you can kind of see the seeds in it, but that's besides the point.
Well, still pretty impressive effects for the time.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes, The Forgotten. People kept telling me that The Forgotten was something I should review. I like The Forgotten. That was actually a really good story to me.
Was that the Master?
The
Master?
No, the guy in the background, that's the first Doctor.
Masters, as you can say here.
When the Doctor started out, he was an old man, and he was actually not the focus of the show. It was on the human companions. That's what the younger people wanted. And then the revelation of Lord Vice's arrival. Okay, I had planned a long time ago, like even before Vice had first appeared, how we were going to defeat him. I figured out that his power was always done by remote. Oh yeah, in this sequence right here, we actually put a wooden board against his hand so that you could actually strike the sword against it. It just didn't turn out right.
Yeah.
I think I probably should have sped up the footage a little bit to try to cover that up. But you did actually hit it, so I wanted to give that sense of realism. But yeah, basically the only reason we're actually succeeding against Vice to begin with here is because we just caught him by surprise. But I wanted to build up, he was such a big threat that we needed to cheat in order to get around him.
And now the pictures are up on the wall there.
Well, it was several episodes since then. A lot had changed. This was, the Vice fight was filmed in 2 afternoons. One evening, 1 afternoon, which you can tell in the background. All the shots before we morph were done at an evening time. All the shots done afterwards were in the afternoon, so you can see the light streaming through.
Yep.
Which is fine, because then it implies that like the morphing powers were so great that we made the sun explode.
Sure.
But yeah, the fight's much quicker here. Lasts a lot less time than the Power Ranger Zeo fight. Just the implication is just supposed to be Vice is so powerful you can't stop him. Hell, the only real victory we do, aside from like pushing him back a little bit, is right here with the sonic screwdrivers. Mm-hmm. And that's only because we made a like, oh my god, it's so loud.
It reminds me of Dr. Insano screaming into the stethoscope in its own way.
But yeah, I wanted to build up Vice as this unstoppable force, and the only way we could get around it was by cheating. And I introduced more, and I thought of more and more story elements as I came along to how that would work. I knew the cutting off the power thing would happen. I just at the time hadn't figured out how do we cut off the power, like create like a force field or something, like fully integrate him into our universe. I wanted Ensign Monroe in this, Lieutenant Monroe, because I had done the Warsaw thing, and the Warsaw thing helped explain the idea that in other universes he's not as powerful. Physical laws are just different enough that the suit that he's cobbled together allows him to survive in other universes at his full power level. But once you cut off the power stream, he's not anything special. At least not here. In his own native universe, yeah, he could probably go 10 rounds with God. But in this universe, he's powerful, but not that powerful. I like this shot right here where it looks like he's dragging me away. Sure, it's only brief, but it actually looks like I'm moving.
That was also my hand.
Well, I had this intricate plan how this is going to work. The Vice suit with the tubes were originally supposed to go down the arms and into the gauntlets, but they just didn't move right. I couldn't get them stuck in there well enough, so I decided to have them free-floating, and we'll figure out their function later. Dr. Linkara was originally not going to be part of the Vice saga. I just wanted him as a joke villain in between storylines. But then I thought up the idea of how he could be a traitor, work from the inside, and take out Vice as revenge because he wanted to be the Conqueror, wanted the Party Mania universe to be restored. And then I came up, but then, Linkara is not a capable fighter, so I needed something logical for how Vice could be defeated. And then just around the same time I came up with that, Angry Joe unveiled that he had an orbiting space station now on his show. So I was like, yes! Angry Joe and the Angry Joe army storm Vice's ship and save the day. And I loved that. Because again, it's also a parallel with the storyline stuff of having another...
I love that one. Right there with the knife.
Yeah.
Just kind of going, ah! That's my favorite part of that sequence.
Joe did a great job with these. I'm really thankful for him for pulling this off. I think he was a little worried at first because I kind of wanted some of this stuff short notice. Because he was also in the Cry for Justice videos. But they turned out really well, and I'm really grateful to him for all he did with this. Lord of Lame! Gets off his own barbs and insults. And the communicator that I used there is a special one. Actually, you get to see the blurring effect here. The thing is, when I tried to come up on the blue screen on this shot, every time I would go up, it started out of focus. So that's why it looks kind of weird here, because I tried to set the manual focus. But yeah, the communicator that I'm using is a special one that I ordered from Starlight Studios that lights up The problem was that there's something wrong with the design of the specific one. It's like defective or something. So I couldn't get the straps on it properly for the spare communicator band that I had, the spare watch band. So I had to tape it on there with masking tape to hide the fact that, you know, it's clearly like not connected at all. And then our big exposition dump.
Yeah.
It's necessary though, because I need to explain this, because I don't want people just like have to figure all this stuff out just by rewatching all the videos. It'd be nice if they did that, but this explains everything. That I called for help, that we detected that same energy signature to indicate that from the shades. Way back in the Cable number 2 review, I stated that the shades were not powered by their own internal power systems. They had a connecting beam from Vice's ship. Sure, it wasn't in orbit at the time, but that's how they were powered, and thus Vice got the same power. We registered that same energy trace when he left. It's all the same kind of power that he's drawing from. Thus we figured out if we cut off that power, and that's my revelation back in the Care Bears review, that if we cut off that power stream, we can take him out. And that's why we defeated him, and no other hero has ever done so. That all the other heroes attempted to fight him with brute force, and they all got killed before they could figure it out. I got lucky, grabbed his weapon, damaged his suit, and he's so paranoid about losing his suit because he thinks he's the only one who can stop the entity, that was the only way we could take him out, by taking out the suit.
You can see the light reflections in the picture there, but that's okay.
It's okay. I had planned this shot so long in advance, just the slow zoom in on him and then the zoom back on us, and us morphing.
Yeah. I say by the power of Corellin Lorethian, and that's actually in reference to the Elven God in the Dungeons & Dragons, but specifically the Forgotten Realms series. And if you'll notice the chest plate, it's not actually fitting me correctly because I didn't realize at the time that it wasn't fully pushed back. So it's kind of wider. It's supposed to be pressed together a little bit tighter, but it still worked. I was wearing about 40 pounds of metal there, and those are actually my own actual bits of armor. Yeah, those are both real. Yeah, I did a lot of medieval enthusiast stuff as
call back to
college and in high school a little bit. So
right there, call back to your original fight scene back in Ewoks number 9. I'm just distracting you so she can stab you.
It looks a little bit better on that angle, but that first shot you can kind of notice it's not quite fitting me perfectly, but.
And a really great split screen, I managed to pull that off. Though I got panicked at first because I couldn't find some of Harvey's outfit. I was like, crap!
I'm the only one that's not using a gun.
That's fine, because I introduced that, like, your swords can shoot out laser beams. The problem with having, like, 5 layers worth of split screen, all of it HD footage, it was not easy to edit, because it was, like, really slow trying to adjust it. So, of course, they don't fire all at once, but that's fine. It still looks good. I had to add in this voiceover later. Originally, I was going to have, like, intercuts, but we ran out of time. It was getting late, and Will had to leave.
Yeah, I think at that point in the day, yeah, see, there's still snow on the ground. We actually had the air conditioning on for me because that armor, underneath it you wear basically a padded, 1-inch thick padded layer. On top of that you wear the chainmail, and then on top of that you wear the breastplate. So it doesn't breathe very well. It's metal. Yeah,
you were sitting out a lot of the shots because it was just too exhausting and hot to wear.
And it's heavy. It's the thing with chainmail is that it weighs heavily on your shoulders. So after a while you start getting fatigued on your shoulders. There's a reason why most knights were on horseback. It's because if you were to be on foot for that duration, you'd get worn out very quickly. So I'm glad we didn't have that that long of a fight scene with it. I think eventually I'll probably expand the suit of armor a little bit more, but they're kind of expensive pieces to do. So,
and of course these were all shot by the side of a road, which is why it's dubbed. But I wanted to have the idea that he's stranded on a cold planet, nothing around, no life, and it just so happens that there's a wooded area near our apartment building. It's right next to the road.
Yep.
And now my own spaceship.
Angry Joe.
Angry Joe is there. And yeah, the Admiral Akbar thing, that's a callback to Angry Joe's videos. He has this running feud with Admiral Akbar. And this shot right here, we actually had to reshoot this, and it still didn't end up right. Once again, moving off screen and onto screen, the thing blurred.
Yeah.
And since I didn't want to have to blur the background as well, any static shots of us, they look fine. But anything else, it just did not come out right. Oh, and yes, and this parody of, everyone's like, you have this powerful weapon, we have to destroy it. Why would you do that? Keep it! Use it! I have a spaceship. I'm keeping the damn thing. I'm not stupid. Oh, just from a camera angle work, anytime Lord Vice is fighting, I always try to do low-angle shots for two reasons. One, the helmet was of course a motorcycle helmet originally, so it was kind of looked comically larger than the rest of him. So low-angle shots help with that. And secondly, I wanted him to look large and powerful and tall. Mm-hmm. And Will is about the same height as me, which works out in its own way. The problem is he needs to look big and domineering.
Yes. Could have had him wear lifts or something.
And of course, Marobot built the Lord Vice ship and the interiors. We're really grateful for him for that. And he's a newbie at 3D art. That still amazes me.
Yeah, it looked great.
But yep, I think this was a good conclusion to the Vice story. Maybe a little long, but I think everything tied up nicely. I was very grateful to everyone who helped out with this, including the wonderful Iron Liz.
Yeah, it did take a lot of work to do. Several days of shooting, too, and just, yeah. I hate to sound whiny and complaining, but try wearing armor for, 4 or 5 hours that we were filming? So,
yeah.
It's not light.
And I'm grateful for you to suffer for my art.
Everyone at CA, aww.
All of my fantastic fans who helped make this possible. And of course, just filling in more, what's your favorites? This and this. And yep, I was going to do the Turbo and Beetleborgs Metallica review. I'll still do that somewhere down the line. It's just didn't want to. And though the one thing I'm disappointed by, I don't think I had good enough jokes at the end for my end credits jokes. And the build up to the next storyline, The Entity.
Yes.
Dun dun dun.
Da 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 da.
People said that laugh was so damn creepy, and that's exactly what I wanted. The Entity is coming, and we'll see for that when we do the storyline end for that.
Although hopefully next time it won't be just all fought in our apartment.
Yeah. Though actually, I will say, this actually right here, this was the last shot I filmed, the day before. Quick story while we're at the end here. I know, we're now past the episode. But, I was working till the day trying to edit all this stuff together. And the real problem that I ran into was that I had to, edit the fight scene separately because I couldn't keep it all and export it. It would crash. And I was working all night on it. I fell asleep at some point at my computer and slept for 3 hours. Woke up, realized it was the day it was supposed to come out, and just went back to work. And I realized, crap, I need a shot of the Entity looking at stuff. Okay, I just grabbed my camera, went out that morning, and just shot the panning shot across our living room.
Well, thanks for listening, folks.
Yep, thank you very much, people. Keep on watching.